So here's some tips that 1L should keep in mind that I figured out when I was a 1L in law school. Don't keep up with the Joneses. Law school is notoriously pretty competitive. Every class has students who are gunner types. They'll gloat about pulling all-nighters and they'll regularly remind you about how their exam prep and outlines are going, right? It took me a long time to realize that past a certain amount of studying in a day, there's a declining amount of efficiency and actual retention that occurs in any given day. And pulling an all-nighter just to say you pulled an all-nighter to get everything done is kind of ridiculous, but you'll see this with law students. So avoid trying to keep up with that and feeling that you need to do that because somebody else is. So if you haven't heard of outlining yet in law school, it's this absolutely massive document that students pull together ahead of exams. Don't wait till the end of the semester to do your outline. Start working on it in the middle of the semester. Once you've got enough information to actually start pulling stuff through, you'll feel way less rushed at the very end of the semester if you start closer to the middle. Also, don't make your outline 80 pages long. Please don't. It's much better to have a more condensed outline for your actual exam than having this gigantic thing. Because if you're taking like a torts exam, which is typically very, very heavily timed, it's very rushed, you're just not going to have time to flip through an enormous outline. Cold calling. Everybody's heard of cold calling. You've seen the movies in law school with how scary cold calling can be. Yeah, cold calling is probably the most common anxiety I hear from law students, but it's really not all that bad, especially after the first week when you see kind of what's actually going on. So some professors actually do it randomly. I had this torts professor who had this amazing Mike Ross Suits type memory where she knew everybody's name without ever having actually met us or spoke to us before. Other professors don't randomly call on students. They actually do it by last name, so you know ahead of time. That being said, you'll definitely hear a few horror stories about students who got cold called and either just didn't know the case brief or didn't read it at all. It happens. It's not that huge of a deal. Yeah, it's embarrassing, but hey, we move on, right? But overall, you get used to it pretty quick.